back to Sound Advice. I am Game God, and this is Alex.
Hi.
Welcome back, Alex.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us again.
Welcome back. I mean, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you ain't welcome.
Neither are you piece of garbage.
Got me good with that one.
We're just having some fun. It kind of reflects the vibe of today's bands.
Yeah, it's a leave it in the comments kind of day vibe.
What is today's genre you've cooked up for us, Alex?
Well, I made up a genre tag for this particular group of songs we're going to be listening to, and it's Misanthropunk. How stupid is that? Pretty fucking dumb, right?
I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, God. Well, it's Misanthropunk, and I guess it's just the most misanthropic of all the punk bands. I wrote some descriptions down and some adjectives down about it.
Okay.
You want to hear it now, or?
Should we hear it now, or should we hear it with the songs?
Either or. I mean, whatever's going to get people to stick around and watch the whole video.
Let's get into the music, and then we can.
Idea.
Yeah. Okay. What's our first song?
Our first song is probably by the progenitors of Misanthropunk, as it were, a band called Flipper from San Francisco.
Give us the quick. Let's do a little countdown.
Okay.
You got it queued up?
I do. It wants
ads?
to play an advertisement, so I'm just going to let it do that. I guess Flipper was one of the first bands to slow the pace down. The punk bands were playing fast at the time, and hardcore was really in style in the early 80s. That being said, this song isn't really all that slow.
Well, let's play it.
Yeah, let's do it.
And 3, 2, 1, play. So, give us the date. It's San Francisco, and around what time was Flipper bumming everyone out with their slow punk music?
Flipper was wreaking havoc in the late 70s. Well, I guess they probably got started in the late 70s, early 80s. Really the early 80s. One of the guitar player, the guitar player is a Vietnam vet. He was in Vietnam. So he's kind of crazy, interesting style of playing guitar.
It would say a good primer for a misanthropic type of person.
I would say so. Yeah, if you want a misanthropic outlook, go fight in Nam.
Yeah, the horrors of war.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I guess the horrors of war and the mundane horrors of everyday life sort of coincide, and that's Flipper's sort of. I guess that's their lyrical approach, and very sort of mocking, sarcastic. The guitar is just kind of painting away, it's sort of like feedback, and, Ted Falcone, the guitar player, would sort of just make up his own chords.
Ted Falcone?
Yeah.
The musicians in this band, was this all their first project together?
It wasn't. The drummer, I believe, Steve DePace, and the bass player / singer. So now there are 2 bass players and singers in the band. They would just switch off on who did what.
Interesting.
Bruce Luz is singing this song. That was his name, Bruce Luz, and the bass is being played by Will Shatter, who was in a band called Negative Trend.
Is that a stage name?
Yes,
Will Shatter?
It is. Believe it or not, it is.
I do believe it.
As is Bruce Luz, as you might imagine. Surprisingly, as far as I know, Steve DePace, the drummer, the keeper of the pace, his real name is Steve DePace. So,
was DePace also a stage name for a drummer, or is that his real name?
That's his real name as far as I know. I believe I just said that. Are you listening to the song, or are you listening to me? Actually,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I wouldn't blame you for listening to the song.
No, you were throwing a lot of information at me, so I wasn't sure if...
I do tend to do that. I just hope that you're able to return the serve one day.
One day? Are you still listening to it?
I am not.
Is it over for you?
Yeah.
Why am I still listening to it?
I'm not sure. We did start at the same time, right?
I thought so.
Well, it's okay. Just keep listening. Misanthropunk. What the thread that carries through all these bands is sort of humorous, viciously anti-humanist lyrics that cleverly poke fun at the terminal idiocy of man's behavior. Filthy and vile guitar tones, big and plodding yet clever, riffy, and often catchy bass lines, and kind of Dumbo drums. You'll hear the Dumbo drums more with the bands we're gonna hear, other than Flipper.
What are Dumbo drums?
Dumbo drums are just big, dumb drums that, keep the pace and do it in a way that just, kind of just, you want to nod your head to it, I guess, but certainly not fast punk. However, the way that Steve DePace plays is not quite Dumbo drums. He's super involved in the way he plays, which is actually really interesting and a great sort of foil to the way that the guitar is played and the vocals are delivered. So
I've never heard of one instrument being a foil to another. It's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, I guess this is where you're going to encounter it, in these sorts of experimental punk bands, really.
Yes. Well, the song is over for me now.
Yeah, it's definitely over for me too.
Should we do the next one?
Yes, let's do the next one. The next one is going to be a little bit more of a slog, more of a trudge punk sort of tune by a band from Texas called Stickmen with Ray Guns, and they're extremely misanthropic as well.
Why?
Well, a lot of times you'll read stories about. You'll be able to hear it when you tune in, but
You want to play it real quick?
Yeah, you want to do it?
3, 2, 1, play. You were saying
a lot of the members of these bands were just, really challenging people to be around. I think all of them were pretty brilliant. But like a lot of the lead singers were, known for sort of just being troublemakers, being a menace, but in in sort of a snotty, clever way. This guy who fronted this band, his name was Bobby Socks, and he was just sort of it's a lunatic. He was kind of a lunatic. He'd do crazy stuff.
In like a Keith Moon sort of way, or in a different way?
Sort of in a more
like a prankster way, or like a
in a way where you didn't really know if he was a prankster, if he was truly mentally unstable. I think, and that was I think he got a big laugh out of that ultimately.
What were some of his stage antics that would make people think this of him?
I think he was known for erectally inserting the microphone, sticking the microphone up his ass. That's a classic thing that Texas punk rockers have
really,
done.
in his inside.
Yeah, he'd stick it up his butt. I think he also. God, there's this one story that I can't. This is useless because I can't remember it, but. Savagely misanthropic, but the thing is, they use punk rock to make fun of punk rock and also make fun of the world around them. And there's a lot of darkness in the lyrical themes, and I think that might resonate with you. And this song specifically, do you think called out "Kill Mother," which is just it's about matricide, I suppose.
Do you think that they had you said they were making fun of punk? Do you think they had a cynical view of the scene they were in and maybe even what they themselves were doing as musicians?
I think so, yeah. I think that was kind of part of the fun, is that you get up there and do it anyway, and I think that, if you really beat yourself down enough, you're probably the best band, one of the best bands in town, that puts you in an interesting position.
And you said this is a Texas band, correct?
Yeah, these guys were from Texas. I think they're from Austin, if I'm not mistaken. But they I should probably check. I have the fucking CD here. But I mean, the interesting thing is like the guitar, the guitar effects that the guitar player used, really just crazy stuff. I mean, got all these phasers and this crazy sort of effects going on. Meanwhile, the whole
show the camera.
Yeah, the whole background sort of rhythm sections really just plodding along with intent.
There they are.
Yeah. So it's a really kind of a fun. I mean, it's very psychedelic. All this. That's the other thing that is interesting about all of these. I talk about that a lot, but a lot of stuff we listen to is inherently very psychedelic. And
Do you think they were doing drugs?
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of drugs. Sometimes, lots of heroin and LSD.
Do you think they did drugs and also played on stage?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was definitely part of it. I think drinking a lot of beer, smoking a lot of pot, smoking reefer, shooting heroin, shooting speed to quit heroin. Famously, Flipper did that.
Did it work?
Yeah, I think it works pretty well. It's not very easy on your system, but it certainly would inspire more of this kind of racket, I think.
How do you do drugs like that and still be productive musically?
Well, it's hard. It becomes more challenging, I suppose, not to barf all over yourself and, kind of nod off while you're trying to, play the bass. And ultimately, sadly, that's what did Will Shatter in. He died of a drug overdose, I think, in 87, which is unfortunate.
Rest in peace.
Yes, may he.
I like that song.
Good one,
It's really noisy and cool.
Yeah, very noisy.
Let's play the next one.
All right.
Who's this now?
This is going to be a little band called No Trend. They're from the suburbs outside of, far outside of Baltimore, Maryland. People who didn't like people very much and thought the punk scene was bullshit and thought everybody was full of shit. And, brilliantly have a song here called Mass Sterilization Caused by Venereal Disease.
Let's play it.
Yeah, let's do it.
In 3, 2, 1.
It's rolling.
Play with fast punk bands. It was like punk rock at the time ended up meaning that a lot of bands just got lumped together with stylistically different punk rock bands.
Do you think it would have generally been the same crowd of people though, that they'd be into both bands anyway?
Well, that's the thing. This band in particular, you can hear how fast they're playing on this song. This is not a slow song. It's absolutely clamorous and fucking, just completely rolling forward really fast. But just the way that they presented this whole thing, No Trend, they were shunned. They absolutely, they would get spit on, shit thrown at them,
By the crowd?
Yeah, by the crowd.
Were they being mean to the crowd first, maybe?
By playing this music inherently, yes. But I think that part of it was enjoyment. That a crowd enjoys the interaction, and that's where punk becomes performance art, is when the crowd and the band begin interacting on a level that's a little scary, dangerous, or, seemingly unpleasant. But it's actually just kind of the Brechtian breaking of that fourth wall between audience and band. And, of course, that sort of, nobody did it better than G.G. Allen.
I was just going to ask.
Were you? Really?
Was this band pre or post Gigi?
This is all pre-Gigi, man.
Really?
Oh, Gigi was making music, but he did not become G.G. Allen until after all this. And I don't know that he necessarily even listened to any of these bands. G.G. Allen's in a league of his own, not somebody who I'm particularly interested by, but...
You don't like G.G. Allen?
I don't dislike him. I think he has some great songs. There's a song called I Want to Rape You that's absolutely fantastic by him, and hilarious and brilliant, really just gnarly. But this music was, I think the thing between G.G. Allen and these bands that differentiates them is these bands were snooty art kids at the end of the day who were really just fucked up people and really angry asshole people who were just kind of disgusted with humanity, but had really clever things to say. They cut stuff out of the fucking newspaper and think, isn't that just a sign of the apocalypse? And then they'd write a song about it. And a lot of punk bands did that, and I think the Misanthropunks sort of did it best. And I think they were kind of intellectuals. These aren't dumb people, but they're really good at convincing you they're fucking stump dumb and just drooling angry schizophrenics on the street. and they made that music that really at times is hard. It's disturbing. I mean, it convinces you that these people are not safe. They're not healthy. They're not balanced, and they're
And we have 3 more bands, yes?
We do.
That will continue on the next episode in our Misanthropunks Volume 2.
That's right. We've got 3 more bands, and they're going to be just as good, if not better, than the last 3 we heard. And we're going to go across America, all the way across America.
So far we've been to San Francisco, Texas, and outside of Balmer.
That's correct. Yep.
Well, at the channel, there's plenty more to say. Let's get into it on the second episode. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
Yes.
On Sound Advice.
Yes.